Hi there, it's Dell back from Spartan Racing again. So this is a follow-up video to my settings for my Simucube 2 Pro on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Now, I've been just spending weeks and weeks just testing and trying and testing and trying, and I've come up with the settings that are working really well for me. So please understand this. These settings work really well for me. If you want to take these settings and use them, great. This is what I'm posting this for. They may not be right for you. Some people may not agree with some of the settings. I've posted these settings up online, and I've had feedback on the settings that I should try this, I should try that. So I've gone through and taken all those suggestions on board, and I've used some suggestions that people have said, and others I've just discounted. I've tested them and it didn't work for me. So what I'm going to do is give you originally what my settings are in the Simucube software. So what I've done is I've set the wheel rotation at 900 degrees, and I'm going to explain that very shortly. I've got a soft lock. I have taken the settings for I've left the reconstruction filter at 3 and the torque bandwidth unlimited. Added a little bit of dampening, 12%, a bit of friction, 8%. This was taken from another YouTuber that talked about having the inertia up a little bit higher. Again, seems to have worked. It feels really good. And static force reduction at 5%. The slew rate limit is off, and the ultra low latency mode at 20%. And I've just got a little bit of friction, a little bit of dampening in the direct input fine tuning. Now, the wheel rotation at 900 degrees. I want to pull up a website, and I'll link to this site as well in the description. This is Coach Dave Academy, and he put some interesting points in here about the wheel rotation. About when playing any racing games, you may experience a situation where the amount of steering input isn't reflected in the wheel, isn't reflected correctly by the car, the car's steering wheel in the game. The reason for this is that you will likely have your steering ratio set incorrectly on the game settings. To understand this issue, we must first define the term steering lock and steering ratio. So go to this link and have a read through it. It's not long, but there is an interesting point in here that he's highlighted. It must be noted for PC players in ACC that this setting will auto adjust to give your wheel a soft lock at the correct wheel rotation for the steering lock of each car. However, for console players or those who wish to set it themselves, you're often only using one car. You can find the correct steering lock values below. So keep in mind that ACC for PC players will auto adjust and give your car the soft lock for the correct wheel rotation. And for console players, you do have to set it, but you can set it yourself if you want. And he's got a list of every car here with the recommended steering lock rotations for the GT3 cars and the GT4 cars. Coach Dave Academy is a great resource for information, as well as getting really cool setups for ACC as well. And so this is I found a couple of other websites as well that actually do say the same thing about the steering lock. This has been the one thing that more people have sort of fed back, saying, oh, you should set your steering lock at 480, or you should set it at 540, or you should set it at 360 or whatever. So what I did is I started off at 180, and I went through every single setting. When I was down around the 180 mark, anything sort of lower than 480, I did start noticing that I was getting a much more reduced steering lock. But for anything 480 and above, when I was turning the wheel, it actually made no difference as to when I went from 480 all the way up in increments up to 900. The rotation of the wheel was exactly the same to get around a corner. So that is the reason why I've left this. Now, if I load up Assetto Corsa, and just give me a second while this boots up, what I've done is I've mimicked these same settings in Assetto Corsa with a couple of other things. As you noticed, I have my force feedback set up at 100%, and then once I came into the actual sim itself, into options, controls, I've got my set here. My gain is up at around 56. Now that's probably a little bit too high for some people. I really like to have the quite a bit of feedback through the wheel. This you can always play with, and you can suit this out per car, whatever you want to do. No minimum forces. I've left the dynamic dampening at 100%. I've switched that between 0 and 100%. I haven't gone sort of any further. And I sort of liked it at 0 for a little while, but then I felt something was kind of odd. I don't know, maybe it was just a placebo. So I put that back to 100%. Now the road effects, again, some people said, oh, you don't need that, just turn it off. But I felt like I was missing a little bit of the graininess. And I know some people say, you're trying to get away from that graininess, but I came from a Fanatec DD2 into this Simucube 2, and I liked that little bit of graininess. So I kept on playing with a few settings, and I got up to sort of 50%, and that worked really well. And as you can see here, my steering lock's at 900, and it's been working fantastic. So this is how I've got my wheel set up for ACC, and it's been it feels just amazing. The Simucube really is something else. When I'll be honest, when I changed from DD2 to the Simucube, I thought, oh god, this thing feels a little spongy, it feels a little soft. But what I realized is it's really, really smooth. All the way it transitions, all the data that comes through it and through to your hands from the wheel is just really smooth, and just does it so well and delivers the forces really, really well. And like I said, it's taken me quite a few weeks of just constantly changing as many settings as I could. And basically, this is where I'm at with it. It's been brilliant. Now, while I'm here, I might as well pull up one other thing. Using the brake in ACC can be a challenge. You really do have to sort of get on the brakes sometimes. So I'm using the Huizenveld sprints. So what I'm going to do is I'll pull up the sprint software and show you the settings that I have in the sprints, so that you can see the way I have this set up. Let me just grab this, bring it onto the screen. So what I have is, that's not the right one I've got loaded, that was for iRacing. What I have is I have a setting in my sprints, and this is how I have my brake set up in my sprints using their smart control version 1.3.4. This is available for the sprints. I don't think this smart control is available for the ultimates. So as you can see, the numbers here, I only use a max force of 35 kilos. I don't feel I need any more than that. I had a little bit of dead zone in there, about 9%, and I'll run from 0. The 20% is at 42, the 40% is at 71, the 60% is at 86, the 80% is at 97, and 100% is at 100, because you can obviously not go any further than 100%. So, and as you can see from the curve, when I put my foot on the brake, I get quite an immediacy of power on the brake. Now, this has been serving me really, really well for quite a while. But what I did end up doing as well in ACC is I went to the brake settings and I clicked on this little arrow, and what this allowed me to do was actually set a little bit of a top dead zone spot, so that when I'm at that point there, I'm already hitting my maximum braking. So it allows me to just get a little bit sharper on the braking. Just at the top part of my braking, I can really get to the top point of my braking without having to really slam down too hard on the pedals. So I've been playing with this as well, and again, this is starting to work really well for me, and I'm finding that I'm not having to break my knees in pushing the brake pedal in like I was previously when I was just running a linear brake trace with this sitting up at 100%. So that's just a couple of things that I do just to sort of help me out with ACC, and it's been fantastic working through with the Simucube 2. If you're on the fence about looking at getting one of these Simucube 2s, don't. They are just an amazing system, and just super smooth. Just beautiful delivery of the forces and everything that the Sims have got to offer. Anyway, I hope that helps just a little bit. So this is like version 2, just an update. Again, I know some people are definitely not going to agree with me, that's amazing. You know, you're more than welcome not to agree. There's people out there a lot smarter than I am, but I've just found that these settings now really do give me the feeling that I'm trying to achieve through the car. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, thanks for listening, and talk to you again soon. Bye now.